Hi everybody. Thanks for joining me. You're at home with me. Well, you're actually not. Ooh, messy hair. The weather's not cooperating. Oh, I have Spike the bearded dragon with me too. See, there she is. I don't know how well you can see her. Hi, honey. Okay, Spiky and I, we're actually at my mother's house right now. I'm next door, right up there. But the reason we're here is just because my mom hadn't had a chance to see Spike for a while. So since we were coming outside for a few minutes just to gather some nice fresh greens for her, I figured I'd stop by and visit Mom, and she said it was okay for me to film here, which is nice because she has comfortable places to sit. And I could tolerate this temperature without the jacket, but Spike can't, and it's pouring rain, so it's a good thing to have the jacket. It's actually too cold for Spiky out here, so I have her in my clothes so that she's getting more of my body heat than she is of the outside temperature, and she seems comfortable because I had her head in there, and you saw when I opened it up, she just seems happier to have her head out. So if she were cold, she'd be happier enclosed. So don't worry about her. It is too cold out here for her, but where she is, she's trapped in there. Not trapped, she's comfortable. She's got her little eyes looking all dreamy, but she's getting my body heat, so she's good. But a few days ago, yeah, I know, it's like I'm distracted. I am. She distracts me. She's just, come on, look at her. Hi, Spike. Look how cute. Wouldn't you be distracted if you were holding her? There. You're a good girl. So anyway, the reason I'm doing this video isn't to just sit here and pet Spike the whole time. I thought really that I could do this without being distracted by her, but yeah, that didn't happen. But anyway, the reason is a few days ago, 5 days, well, 6, because I didn't get to do a video yesterday. 6 days ago, I did a video where I said, okay, this is what we're working on at the house right now, kind of what you can expect maybe to see over the course of the next 5 days. Well, as you can see, the weather really hasn't been conducive to getting a lot of things done, but we have managed to accomplish a few things, and I wanted to tell you what those are really quickly before giving you our preview of what's probably coming up in the next 7 days. And what we did manage to get done so far is in the duck room, not a whole lot. We got the 2 swimming pools that were in there torn down, and in fact repurposed the framework for the pool already and used it as the framework for the raised bed that I focused on in my most recent video. We also managed to, of course, finish that raised bed, including the planting of it and the framing it out. And we worked a little bit on some of our fencing and a little bit more on just cleaning up the property and things like that. Planted some more stuff, and everything in... There's a breeze. You just relax. Everything in the first 2 raised beds that we had planted before planting the one we just focused on, everything's up in those 2 beds, and you know, the next time we do a run through of things on the property or whatever, I'll show you those. Now for this coming week, of course, we're going to continue to work on the things that we didn't finish last week, and one of them, if you recall, was the working on the raised beds. So I figure I'll take this time right now and tell you what some of the raised beds are that I want to make, because kind of a few neat things. I want to make one raised bed completely out of stone and mortar. Instead of just stacking the stone, I want to actually cement it together. And the reason I want to do that one is I want it for my niece Cameron. She really loves gardening with me, and I had a little garden for her last year. I want her to have a garden and be able to work up there this year as well. And I want her to know how much it means to me that she's there and that she likes it. So I want her bed to be special. So I want to make it out of stone. And I think that might be the next one that I work on. I also want to make a bed for Spiky. And the bed for Spike is going to be basically a giant playpen. I'm going to plant for her a lot of things that she really likes and that are good for her and healthy. And I'm going to frame her bed out as well as we did the small one, and hers I'm going to turn into a cage with the 1/4 inch wire mesh. I always use that size for her because something smaller, I'm afraid she'd catch her fingers in and break them. something larger, she might be able to get through or get an arm in and get it stuck and it would hurt. She does really well with 1/4 inch mesh. So I'm going to frame it out with that, put a door on it, and it's going to have a roof on it and things, because she can climb that. So I'm going to have, you know, the top meshed out as well, and the things that she wants in there. I'm going to put also a little stone kind of cave in there, so that it's just a little hidey hole for if she's out in the sun, which there isn't any of today, but there will be someday, when she's out in the sun and she's playing and it's nice and hot, nice lizard temperatures, and she's playing in her little playpen. You know, I don't want her to climb out, so we're going to have a ceiling to it as well. And that size of mesh is not only good for her, but it will also allow bugs to get in there, which she can then hunt, which is good for her because then she's behaving as a bearded dragon would in the wild, and it's giving her exercise, and she'll have her stone enclosure where she can go to get out of the sun if she's sufficiently warmed up. Hey, baby. Look at her. She's just so cute. And I just love her. So she'll have a lot of things she really likes in her playpen. In fact, I think I might make it kind of large, because before, when I've had her out in the yard with me, she has actually, once she gets nice and warmed up, she goes for a run. And, you know, I have to really watch her every second, because she could easily run into tall things and things like that, tall growth, and I wouldn't be able to find her, or run off the property, you know, and she could, that would be very bad for her. So I think I want to make her playpen pretty large. Not gigantic, but pretty large. I want her to be able to run and play, you know? And I want to be able to have her outside with me for long periods of time when I'm out working, so that she can really get that UV light that she needs and soak in the heat of the sun, which she loves. And so, yeah, that's something I'm really excited about, is making her her playpen. And another one, a third one that I'm really excited about, is one that just occurred to me out of the blue when I was sitting and just thinking, and had insomnia. And those of you who get insomnia, you know, if you've got a lot of things you're excited about and you're thinking about, well, that can set off the insomnia. And then at 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, when you're not sleeping, that's when the really creative ideas come to you, when your circadian rhythms tell you you should be asleep and your defenses are down, I guess, where you don't just stop yourself and go, stop thinking this, you need to sleep, because you know that there's no use. Yeah, it was one of those kind of things. And what came to me was this behemoth of a grow bed that I want to make. And I just think it's going to be so neat. I want to make it out of brick and paving stones, paving squares. And it's going to be like a concentric squares, okay? And as each square, as each level goes in, it also comes up. So I guess in the end it'll be shaped just like the pyramids at Teotihuacan, the Aztec pyramids that are not like the ones in Giza and things, the squared off step pyramids with a set of steps that goes up each flat side, because yeah, this is going to have steps going up the flat side, because I won't be able to, from the bottom and the outside, it's going to be large enough, I won't be able to reach the inside to harvest what's growing there. So I'll need some way to walk in there without, of course, stepping in the various little areas that things are growing in. So I figure, okay, I'll do each level, you know, make them level as they come up, and also so that passers-by can see pretty and not get angry that I'm making something in my yard. I'll plant them up as we go, so I'm going to need to be really careful. And what I'll do is for the stability of the structure and things, I'll keep the soil level in it level the whole way out. For example, I won't do the inner square clear to the top and fill it with dirt, because I'm not planning on using mortar, especially on the inner layers of this structure. That way, if I ever decide to tear it down, it'll be easy. But that's going to be really tall, so if I did it tall and straight with things just stacked and filled it with soil, it would be really unstable. So what I'm going to do is, as a building, I'm going to be filling it level the whole way up as I go. And the steps along each flat side are going to go clear to the top and also go clear down to the original soil level. Dead center of this thing, I have a piece of 10-inch diameter PVC pipe in my basement, and I don't know why. I don't remember why I got it. And I do know it had something to do with the garden, but I can't remember if I was planning to just somehow use it to grow tomatoes in so they could vine down, or what I was thinking when I got it. But I have it, and I can use it for this. In the dead center of the center square, I'm going to put a length of PVC that goes the whole way down to the ground and sticks out of the top. I'm going to drill a bunch of holes in it all along the way. And then what I can do with that is I can pour water down in there, I can dump plant life in there and things like that, and that can act as a fertilizer that will then leach out into the beds. And that actually wasn't an idea that that PVC was not an idea I came up with myself. I saw a video at some point where someone had done that, and I thought it was a really good idea. And so, you know, it's basically like those of you who've done the same thing with milk jugs and things like that. It's that same idea, except larger. You know, you're just putting a container down into the ground that you can then fill with fertilizer and water and things. And since it is so big around, you can, for your fertilizer, you can actually make your own compost right there. And as the compost is breaking down, hi honey, and it's making that compost tea, that'll go out through the holes in the structure and help to fertilize things. Now what you might be thinking, and you're absolutely right, is, well, doesn't that mean that the bottom levels are going to get all kinds of nutrients, and the things higher up probably not as much, because what you put in that pipe is going to be down near the bottom. So not as much is going to come out of the top. You probably won't have it full all that often. Yeah, you're right. And that works out well too, because what this structure primarily is, not entirely, but primarily, is an herb garden. I've always wanted to have a permanent herb garden outside, and I have different years planted herbs outside, but I've never had, that I can recall, a dedicated herb garden that's going to be a long-term structure, a long-term thing. And I've always wanted that. I just think it's kind of neat. Don't know why, don't know what sparked my interest in it or when, but I've always thought it would be great to have an herb garden that's always an herb garden. So that's what this thing is primarily going to be. Bottom level, however, on the outside, I plan to grow wild strawberries. Now, those require richer soil. So it's good that the nutrients that come out are going to come out more at the bottom, because they'll probably leach some into the strawberry beds. Not entirely, though. The way that this is structured, with me taking each level down, you need to be in there where it's warmer. Taking each, we just started getting a really chilly breeze, so she needs to be in there with a heat bubble. And I put off a lot of heat, so she's fine in there. In fact, I can feel her body temperature. It's the same as mine. So, you know, being cold-blooded and things, she's not chilled at all. She's against my bare skin, and her skin doesn't feel chilly at all. So she's doing fine, guys. But anyway, if she weren't, I would immediately take her in. You know, I wouldn't let her be in a situation that might cause her any kind of problem. But being that each of the sections of this thing are going the whole way to the ground with brick and stuff, probably the nutrients aren't really going to make it all that far out, because they're going to be stuck in the sections that are closest, in the portions that are closest. Still a neat idea. Still going to see what happens there. And so the outer layer at the bottom, wild strawberries. The top, which the water will drain away from first, so it'll stay drier longer. The top, the center square, echinacea. Picture it. Pretty tall purple cone flowers up there standing high out of the top of this kind of pyramid-shaped thing. And then the next level down might be a combination of, you know, different things in different sections. Because remember, we're not going to have just 4 sections to grow in around there. We're going to have 8. There'll be smaller beds, but there will be 8 of them, because each one's bisected by the stairs. And that's means that, you know, each of those sections is going to contain its own soil and contain it without a whole lot of leaching, you know, really. They can be not a, it's going to leach some stuff from section to section, but I can fill each section with a completely different kind of soil. Yeah, so instead of in that same area having to plant all kinds of things that have the exact same soil requirements, I can plant different things. Echinacea does really well in drought conditions, and it's in the top middle where things will be drier more often. So I'm probably not going to have to worry about them because they do well with dry conditions. Next level down, I'm thinking one or two of the sections might be a mixture of irises and daffodils just to look pretty. You know, if I can find my iris rhizomes out there, I know I have them. And I know they're out there growing. I just have to find where, because with flower bulbs and things like that, what I've traditionally done is just kind of plant them all through yards. Because I like that. Then they come up, and they come up in unexpected places. It has a more naturalized look. And so, you know, got to go find the irises, which then probably won't bloom this season because I've disrupted them, but then next season and beyond will. And I'll plant them with daffodils because the daffodils will come up, bloom early in the season, add some color and interest to the pyramid. Having done their thing, they'll then die off, and that's when the irises will come into their own. Also in this, I have a lot of topsoil. I have a pile of topsoil. I overestimated how much I would need for something that I was using it for, and I got it delivered bulk. So a delivery, a shipment, they just poured it in a pile. That pile's still there. Well, topsoil is really low in nutrients. It's not real good soil, really. And so, but it's cheap. And it's really what I needed for this job that I was doing. So I got a bunch of it delivered. It's still in a pile. Nothing's growing on there. It looks terrible because, you know, it's like this little hillock at the very back of the yard where taking up the space where if I need to get something delivered in the future, it would have been, but can't be now because it can't be delivered now because there's this mound of topsoil. Well, I have a use for it now. Poor soil loving things like different Mediterranean herbs. We're talking things like oregano, thyme, sage. They like poor soil. Lavender also likes poor soil. Well drained, but poor soil. Does great with it. Does great. So in various sections, I can plant those things and I can use this poor soil up and get rid of it. It'll, you know, they don't need the rich soil. So I don't need to worry about that in their sections. And I can use up this yucky soil that I want to use up. Isn't that cool? Yeah, and then, so I'll plant other herbs too, I think. I counted it, and I think that there was some extra, extra space. There were some extra spaces, even taking into account that the whole bottom will be taken up with wild strawberries. And it Spike's little area, I might plant a strawberry or two for her as well. I think she'd like that. But that's the grow beds. Those are the grow beds. Oh, and I have dormant, I don't know if it'll come out of dormancy or not. It's been dormant so long. I have some dormant, what's it called, asparagus in the house. And if you're a regular viewer, you saw that I am growing some asparagus in one of my aquariums, and it's growing really well. But I might grow an asparagus bed outside as well. And that little I'm at my mom and dad's house, like I said. Dad didn't know that I was going to be out here filming. And my mother said, yeah, go ahead and go out and film, but I'm going to go take a nap. So she went to go to sleep. And my dad just came out looking like, what's going on out there? Because he heard me talking. It's like, well, Linda's in bed. Who's Melissa talking to? And so I pointed to you guys, and he just kind of looked and walked away like, yeah, whatever. But so that is the plan for what we want to do with the grow beds, with the raised beds that we're making now. Those are the next 3 that we're making. And one of them's going to be probably, well, two of them, because the little stone bed, being that I'm going to cement it together, it's going to be a lot of work too. So the grow beds, the raised beds rather, I always say grow beds, raised beds is, I don't know why, didn't used to, just been doing it lately. Raised bed is actually more precise, but they are grow beds. But the raised beds that we're making, the next few, those ones are going to be a lot of work. Oh, there's another one I want to make too. There's a red currant bush in the middle of the yard. And yeah, I tend to plant bushes and shrubs all over the place as well. I try to keep their future height in mind when I do that and plant taller ones, toward the furthest side of the property from the sun, so that I can plant more sun-loving things. They won't get shaded too badly. Sometimes I do well with that. Other times I just go, oh, right here's a nice space. It looks like it'll be happy here, and this is where I'm going to plant it. So sometimes I follow the rules I'd like to. Other times I throw them out the window. And so in the end, probably the way I do things is a lot more arbitrary than it should be. But I do have this area in the yard that has a red currant growing, and it wasn't meant to be up there. It was actually meant to be down in a raised area near the boggy area, semi-raised, so that its roots could reach down to the water but wasn't sitting and soaking in water. Yeah, but I put it there in the ground because I had just purchased it. This was a couple years ago. I had just purchased it and didn't really have time to deal with it right then. So I stuck it in the ground. And that's something you can do with little trees and bushes and shrubs. You can just stick them in the earth temporarily if you don't have time to deal with them right now, so that they don't get pot bound. And I did that, but then I got sick and it really started to grow in this area, and I thought, it's been there long enough and it's established enough that taking it out might actually kill it, so I don't want to even try that. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a raised bed around it as well and plant some things beneath it that won't grow too awfully tall, or that I can harvest before they interfere with the red currant itself. I can't wait till we have red currants. That's another plant that I might actually put bird netting over this year, because the birds never leave me any. I think last year I got one red currant. And if you know what red currants are, they're really tiny. I got one. The birds ate all the rest. I don't mind sharing if they're not going to be greedy about it. But they are greedy about it. So, 4 grow beds in the plans. And there is no way that those are all going to be completed this week. No way at all. And we're still working on the things we mentioned before. But those are things upcoming. They're things that we're going to work on ASAP, which means that you might see some things related to those over the next 7 days. And in 7 days, I'm going to give you another update, and we'll go over what we're working on then. And hopefully we'll have, in between now and then, we'll hopefully have some videos focusing on specific things that we can talk to you about and share with you. I think that there's a lot going on that's a lot of fun, a lot of interesting stuff. Some things that are downright exciting, so for me anyway. And I think Spike's excited too. You wouldn't know, because I can tell by the way she feels that she has gone to sleep in there. Yep, I have a sleeping lizard on my chest. Alrighty. But anyway, yeah, cool stuff, right? So I hope that, and I keep getting distracted by the birds too. Can you hear them? I imagine you can. The birds are really loud right now. And it's kind of that loudness that you frequently hear from birds right before really bad weather sets in. The barometric pressure drops and things like that. And they can feel that we're going to get a storm. So they're all excited beforehand, doing whatever it is they need to do before the storm hits. And so they're all wound up right now, and it keeps catching my attention. But the funny thing is, I'm pleased to say, none of them are in my trees. And the reason I'm pleased to say that is the trees I'm talking about are the tall ones that are going to go because they have to. And as I've said before, don't be upset about that. I will be planting in their stead a lot of things, including small trees. you know, as far as impact on the environment, both in terms of oxygen production, carbon production, limiting that, and providing places for the wildlife and for my own pets and myself to enjoy and shade and all that. It's going to be doing more of the good things it's going to be doing more of the good things that we want it to do after I get rid of the trees, because I'm going to replace them with things that do such wonderful things, and I'll be taking you with me on that trip as well. You know, it's so much to do. Oh my goodness, it's just great, and thank God I have help. And I'm also really thankful for you guys. I like to talk to you. I like to come out here and share things with you. And, you know, I always hope that some of the things I'm doing might maybe be things that can help you, or that spark an idea of creativity in you that maybe it's not exactly what I do. Maybe it is. Maybe it's something different, but maybe something that I said or was doing gave you a really nifty idea. And, you know, if you're doing anything at your house that kind of relates to what we've talked about just now, and you want to share that with us, I would love it, and I'm sure everybody else would too. I really like hearing from you guys. I like when we get the discussions going, and I like hearing about your projects, and I like hearing about the things that you're growing. So if you have anything you want to share with us, just drop it down in the comment section, and we'll be checking it out. And, well, have a good day, and enjoy the rest of your week. If I don't get to see you by the end of it, I think I will, though. We'll probably be seeing each other a few times between now and then, but if not, enjoy your week. Have a good time. Live, love, learn, and laugh. Okay, catch you again soon. Bye-bye.